Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the April meeting of the Germantown Planning Commission. Mr. Ross, are we ready? Thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have agendas on the podium up front. If anyone would like to get a copy of the agenda, please come forward. And if we could have the roll call, please.
Mr. Bacon?
Here.
Mr. Saunders?
Here.
Ms. Hicks?
Here.
Mr. Bennett?
Here.
Alderman Owens?
Here.
Mr. Clark?
Here.
Chairman Harless?
Here, and we have a quorum. The first item and the only item on the agenda tonight, we have a presentation by staff. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot about the minutes. We do have to approve the minutes. Is there any additions, modifications to the minutes from last meeting? Seeing none, hearing none, do I have a motion for approval?
Motion to approve.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mr. Bacon?
Yes.
Ms. Hicks?
Yes.
Mr. Saunders?
Yes.
Mr. Bennett?
Abstain.
Mr. Clark?
Abstain.
Alderman Owens?
Yes.
Chairman Harless?
Yes, and the minutes are approved, and now we'll move into the agenda portion, and we have a presentation from staff regarding a parking issue with the Saddle Creek property.
Thank you, Chairman Harless. It's a parking opportunity. Shops of Saddle Creek South Plan Development. This is approval of an outline plan and a revised final plan for a parking lot expansion. As we all know, Saddle Creek West and Saddle Creek South have been in the city for over 30 years. Saddle Creek South was approved by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen in 1987. The current plan development that they are operating under was first approved by the Planning Commission and then by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen in 2013 and 2014. And it lays it out as it is today. It is operating under the T5 overlay with the shopping center zoning. They utilized, as part of the plan development, elements of the SMART code, but that's still stuck with the base zoning of shopping center. The currently approved final plan is in front of you, but a couple of the items that were granted exceptions to the standard development regulations for shopping center was the setback of building D, which is this building right here, which was set back 10 feet from Poplar and 60 feet from West Street, where the standard setback from Poplar is 60 feet. The plan also proposed 9 by 18 parking stalls, where the standard is 180 square feet, or 9 by 20 or 10 by 18. The 9 by 18 stalls were either the existing parking stalls or new ones that were built as part of the expansion that are to be occupied by valet or employee parking. The plan proposed a total of 416 parking spaces, where the shopping center base zoning required a minimum of 444 parking spaces. And they also modified the truck loading areas to be less than the standard 10-foot by 55-foot area required by the zoning regulations. This current request for modification of the final plan and the outline plan is for the addition of 50 new parking spaces, and that would be a parking deck in this rear area that is currently a detention. To zoom in on it here, it is looking at adding over a 2-acre area on the southwest corner of the site adjacent to the dead-end portion of McVeigh Road. It would be for the exclusive use of employees and for valet parking. The approval would bring the site into conformance with the parking standards for the shopping center-based zoning district. The applicant is seeking to reduce the minimum width of one drive aisle from 24 feet to 20 feet wide. It will be a one-way drive aisle. The traffic will also be head-in rather than diagonal, and this will reduce the likelihood of conflict of vehicles backing in and out of it. Again, it is intended to be for valet and employee spaces, so they'll be able to manage it a little bit better. They are providing sweet gum trees to be planted along this edge for those that are relocated as part of their development plan. The engineers are here and they can better describe some of these details, but there will be access down the south side of the new structure to do maintenance, to get underneath the structure. This is a view of the structure itself. So the area that I was just highlighting would be approximately here, with step down to get underneath and do any needed maintenance or cleaning of the area beneath the deck. Again, the engineers are here and staff is open for any questions from the Planning Commission.
Commissioners, do we have any questions? Mr. Ross, I have a question. Is the step down going to be gated or locked or padlocked in order to prevent children or unauthorized people from going down there?
I believe we discussed a gate at the Planning Commission subcommittee where we reviewed this, and they are going to put in a It may be best for,
Why don't we wait for the applicant to come forward and then you can address that question?
but a direct answer is yes.
Thank you. Other comments, questions, commissioners? Would the applicant like to come forward and make a presentation? You can, either podium is fine, and if you'll state your name and address for the record.
Thank you. I'm Jarman Paragoy with Kimley Horn. This is Lindsay Heron with Kimley Horn. We're the engineers of record for the project. To answer your question, yes, we are proposing a gated access. We have a dumpster. The existing dumpster enclosure is in this area here. We're going to relocate it to the east. Our proposal is to provide a gate that will abut the back of the dumpster enclosure, run the back side of this flume, and then tee into the back side of the parking deck with the gate across the flume, which will also serve as an access point.
Is there anything else regarding the project that you'd like to comment on?
I believe Cameron has covered the general aspects of it. If there are any questions from the staff or the Planning Commission, we'll
Commissioners? Alderman Owens?
Yes, thanks. Just of note, it's my understanding that the issues regarding the out parcel that we discussed in the subcommittee with particular specificity to the frontage there will be addressed at the Design Review Commission, and I'm happy with that, so thank you.
I just got a couple of questions, and more out of curiosity
Bacon.
than anything. That's a precast garage?
It is cast in place.
It's cast in place?
Yes.
Okay, so you're not bringing in like
Right.
T's and
The
that
timing for ordering the precast structures did not align with the proposed construction schedule. The idea is to have this open by the end of this year.
And then, I mean, it's a tight little site. What about construction staging and any of that? You're not going to be able to do that out front, obviously.
Right. Construction staging, there are a few parking stalls headed right here that we will take for construction staging. Chris, the applicant, is working with the contractor to identify alternate areas. We'll talk through some of these issues with city engineering staff regarding access before.
So you're not taking any parking out front out of service for the duration of construction?
We are going to try to avoid that.
Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Bennett.
If you could you explain to us how on the west side where the retaining wall is, and I know the deck is going over, there's a wall on that west side of the parking deck. There's going to be a gap in there, is that correct?
There is.
And how are you going to address that, and how are you going to address the western facing side of that wall at the end of your garage?
The existing, there's an existing brick screen wall. It's about 6 feet high that abuts the east right-of-way of McVeigh Road along the property line. There's about a 7-foot gap between that screen wall and the wall of the parking deck. We are proposing to plant 7 trees within that area to make up for the 7 trees that we're removing out of the bottom of the detention pond. The deck itself, the proposed face, is would be a painted concrete finish to match the back of the shopping center.
What about the face of that? There's a wall too where the cars pull into,
That's correct.
correct? And that's what, 4 feet tall?
It's 4 feet. If you're looking at it from the inside of the deck, it's about 42 inches.
Okay.
The backside, it's a little taller because of the beams, but that is all proposed to be painted concrete to match the back of the shops.
Okay. Is there a way to make that match the retaining wall that's already there, the screen wall?
We can discuss alternate colors, but as far as, or maybe a scoring pattern in the outside face of the deck to give it some character, we can discuss that. Cameron, is that something we will discuss further at design review and make sure we're all in agreement on what that outside face will look like?
Yeah, we would prefer it not to have such a contrast. If you're looking at it from the Arthur property, you've got a nice brick screening wall. I know you're going to have some landscape in between, but the wall that they'll see on your deck, we'd prefer that as much as you can to try to, match it color-wise and contrast, context-wise to that retaining wall.
Sure. So we'll look at various scoring patterns and different color schemes as well.
Okay. What kind of trees are you planting in that 7-foot area?
They're sweet gums. Do you have the?
Lindsay Heron, Kimley Horn. They're going to be sweet gums, and when they're installed, they're supposed to be 12 to 14 feet tall, so it'll extend up to kind of help with the screening of that proposed wall on the deck.
Okay. Is there a reason why those particular trees were chosen?
Really, we just wanted an evergreen kind of back there, or I'm sorry, not an evergreen, but something that's columnar to kind of get the height to stay inside or stay outside of that additional wall on the deck to kind of help with the screening, along with like the contrast and just keeping it kind of uniform. So that was the idea.
Okay.
It's a very slender tree that will not grow much beyond that 7-foot gap.
Thank you.
Other questions, commissioners?
Chairman, in that home that's over there, does someone live there, in that home that's right there?
It's the office.
Have they been notified, or do they know that this is going in there in any way, shape, or form? They have been notified? Shaking your head, yes. Okay.
They're on the notification list.
Okay.
These 50 additional parking places, does that provide enough parking for the shops of Saddle Creek?
It'll meet the requirements of the underlying code. We won't know until they're in place. We think it'll greatly reduce the congestion.
Has anyone run a traffic count, traffic study in the parking area of how many people can't find parking places? And
we've not run a parking analysis of the overall center.
I know you guys, that's really not your job, but somewhere, we hear a lot of complaints about not enough parking in Saddle Creek. And right. I think adding 50 places at the cost of those 50 is great, but I just hope it satisfies the needs of the tenants that are in there, because we don't want to lose those tenants. I'm sure you don't either, and the
right.
developer doesn't either.
We agree.
So there was a comment at the subcommittee meeting regarding parking up in the circle by the bank. Was that ever, where did that go? Mr. Ross, do you remember the conversation?
The Arthurwood Cove is a private drive. It is owned separately from Saddle Creek South. It's my understanding from Mr. Herman with Trademark, who is the owner, developer, manager of Saddle Creek, that they have tried to work with the owner of Arthurwood as well as the bank on parking options, but those negotiations have not been successful up to this point.
Good. Thank you. I appreciate the feedback. Other questions, commissioners? If not, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate the presentation. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor of this project? Please come forward. Seeing none, is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak against this project? Please come forward. Seeing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, any further last-minute questions before we vote? Any comments? Alderman Owens, do you want to make a comment about design review? And
I think I did.
okay, very good. If there are no questions, we will call for a vote, please. And I need a motion.
Mr. Chairman, the main motion is to approve the outline plan amendment and revised final plan for the Shops of Saddle Creek South parking lot expansion, subject to the board's discussion, staff's conditions, and comments in the staff report, and the documents and plans filed with the amended outline plan and the revised final plan application for a 50 new parking space expansion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. A motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Mr. Bacon?
Mr. Chairman, I'm voting yes to approve this application, and I'd just like to applaud Trademark for making a substantial investment to alleviate the parking congestion at the shopping center. It's a bold move, and it's a big investment.
Mr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Ms. Hicks?
Yes.
Mr. Saunders?
Yes, with a brief comment, just I want to echo what Alderman Owens has indicated, that you need to go to the DRC and see what you can do to work those issues out that we discussed, and I think also was brought up by Commissioner Bennett over there in regard to that wall, is something that keeps it in line instead of being just stark white or whatever. So otherwise than that, I think it's a good project, and I applaud what you're doing.
Alderman Owens?
Yes.
Chairman Harris?
Yes, and the motion is approved. Congratulations. I'm sure there's a lot of people waiting for the additional parking. Are there any updates on liaison? Other new business? If none, we stand up. Mr. Ross.
Jumped on it quicker.
Not new business, but more in reference to the liaison. I just wanted to thank Commissioner Saunders for being a dutiful liaison to the Economic Development Commission and coming out to the Economic Development Commission's work session that was on a Saturday from 8 a.m. to almost 12. He participated in the discussion, and as well as the 8 other members that were present that morning. So I just wanted to say, from staff's perspective, thank you to Commissioner Saunders for participating.
Please note in the minutes that a gold star will be given to Commissioner Saunders. Is there any other business? If not, we stand adjourned.